It's November 17th, 2022. I'm in this pattern. Um, I'm thinking to myself, actually, I was watching since 5. I've been watching, toggling between Channel 4 and Channel 2 news. I don't normally watch Channel 4, but this morning I just, whatever. And at the bottom on the scroll, interestingly enough, today's November 17th. It showed this name. It's spelled I think it's Maersk, I think. It's gray. It's a gray shipping container. It said something about IRAN, IRIB, and this purchase of menthol. And I'm like, no, that's interesting because it reminded me that earlier in the week, last week, or end of last week, I saw the most curious um, protest inside New York City. It was about the banning of menthol cigarettes amongst the African American community. And I'm like, but it pertained to smoking. And then they even have this piece about they don't want it necessarily to affect the white people. And I'm like, that is such a weird thing to say on the evening news. Like, that seems like something some law group is just waiting for someone to say to cause all sorts of problems at the accounting office between the billing and the shipping and containment. And I mean, who's doing the dark work? Who's doing the light work? I mean, is it the land crew? Is it like Army versus Navy? Is it like I mean, I see one of them wears all white at some point, but then, like, in the local area, that gets really tricky because it's like with false flags operating within this particular piece. And I know what the father of the nation looks like and has looked like consistently for so many generations in this area. I'm just wondering how this UN conundrum is causing and wreaking havoc. I mean, it's caused my life to be completely out of order. Interestingly enough, that friend, like the one friend that they pushed up on me since my youth, that I traveled with, in college, she took me to some place called Sprats, Sprats, in Nassau County in New York. And there was some like other kind of, I don't know, she said VIP thing where it was Hot 97.1 was doing something. I had no idea what that was. I was like, really? Yeah, famous people? I was like, you're going to be there? She's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll stop by. And I did. Because what do I know? And it was a whole scene of not my, like, I mean, again, I'm in New York, I get it. And it wasn't like Manhattan crazy. It was much more low key the way I prefer. And there was respectful people, not like they, like when I said I was not comfortable any longer, they let me walk off the dance floor. They did not get handsy. They were very respectful in that manner. Um, so it was more of like a, I would say, Broadway audition in the sense of we were both respectful of each other's space and where I was not comfortable at working at certain level. So that was it. And I walked off the dance floor, didn't think much of it. Years later, I had somebody who looked, I called it familiar. He was not necessarily familial in the Brady Bunch way, But that gets really hard to explain. And he said he was really famous, and I said, I apologize. But he said, but he's on the radio. So I said, oh, I said, well, again, I was like, can you tell me a line from the song? Maybe I know it. And then he said, actually, it has something to do with you because I hear you have a really special birthday. And I was like, actually, yeah, me and my son. And he says, yeah, that's all you need to know. He's like, I know you got a special birthday. And I was like, all right. Um, so I thought that was, I mean, again, really incredibly influential, incredibly important people in the world somewhere who I run into. And in hindsight, I feel like in the moment I'm so Alice in Wonderland because I really don't know anybody. Um, and the way that I've been kept here, or unkept here, has been it's really difficult to explain. Um, so I'm watching this thing, and it's about this ban on menthol cigarettes. It comes from a date of 11/10. It's Thursday, and it was 11/10 when this originally aired. Eyewitness News at 4 p.m. So now I'm in November 17th, and this came out on November 10th as a reference.
Nationwide challenges could delay that ban for years.
That's why Westchester County proposed its own regional ban on flavored tobacco products, but the plan is facing some backlash there. Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis shows us why.
Julie Montgomery has smoked menthol cigarettes for over 30 years. She says outlawing such cigarettes would only create a black market.
Because people are going to find a way, like they find a way to get everything else they want.
That's just one of the arguments made by critics of Westchester County's proposed ban. If passed, Westchester would join 170 other municipalities that prohibit the sale of cigarettes flavored with menthol. The cooling additive reduces nicotine harshness and once hooked, makes quitting harder. For County Legislator Jewel Williams Johnson, whose grandmother died of lung cancer, passing the bill is personal.
I just can't imagine generations of kids growing up and have to live through all of that and not be able to add positively to our society.
Studies show menthol cigarettes have been marketed in minority communities for decades, resulting in a disproportionate number of smoking-related deaths among black men. Still, there are opponents who say the law discriminates by outlawing a popular product while not regulating regular cigarettes preferred by white smokers.
I don't think people should smoke cigarettes, but it is their right. It's no law against smoking cigarettes.
Wencar's son is Eric Garner, the Staten Island man who died after being placed in an illegal police chokehold after being accused of selling illegal loose cigarettes. Critics of the bill say driving the product underground will put people of color at risk.
This is going to have unnecessary consequences in the black community and also create a bigger black market that now law enforcement has to handle.
A public hearing is scheduled for Monday on the bill, which is moved out of committee and could be up for a full vote by the board by the end of the month. In White Plains, Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Well, starting tomorrow, you can visit some national...
All right, so now that's interesting. So I'm a little confused by it. I'm just making notation of it because it said national on the beginning of it, where then all of a sudden when I went into it, it started to like glitch. But originally it said national. And this IRANIRIB and this carting company, I think it's CARTING, which buys, I think they consider it diesel, DISEL, but they said the word menthol, MENTHOL, which I don't know if that's the difference because ethanol, ETHANOL, is for passenger gasoline, or at least that's what it says at the pump. So for like major distilleries and the chemical companies that are, allowing this level of pollutant all over the Northeast coast and straight on through to California for trucking companies, it causes larger health risks, and it's also a huge component of climate change. So this is really frightening. And like, how does one say it without getting really hurt? Um, and so, and then I'm going back to, is that in like the 1930s why there was such a big push for this prohibition? Like they have these trendy stories and then they're like, "Oh yeah, but that was like way back in history." Right? Yeah, it was way back in history before the industry blew up and grew up so much that it then posed an even bigger health and threat risk for the children of whatever wasn't caught, like the grand ancestors of what wasn't able to slow down or prevent these false flag invasions and then setups and promotion of things. Um, so that came up for me as well. Um, They also brought up today, they made on Channel 4, they changed at the bottom the ticker tape. I went back through the thing and then they took off the IRA and IRIB. I don't know why, but whatever. Um, and so then I went up there and I was looking at, they have something to do with Harvard and Yale are withdrawing from something in the law community. I'm not real sure what that's about. I thought that was weird. And then they have this, just like they have this menthol ban on cigarettes, only in like this African American community, or they said amongst the, I think their exact words were colored community um, that are affected. Then they have this thing about the Reich, Rike, but they put an R on it, Rikers Island, which I thought was really interesting on like a twist, just like the IRANIRIB is something different. But then they have this Reich, and then they have up there Eric Adams saying that he's not going to surrender the city. And I'm like, no, that's weird. Who would be asking him to surrender the city? Like, to whom? Like, what on earth is going on? Since it's so chaotic, I mean, there's no local headline, there's no local speak about it. It's very hush hush. It's very confusing to try to decipher through this fabric of reality that they've webbed into almost speaking over my person where I don't even know how to like, I mean, I'm trying to connect the dots and figure out like, are these small pieces somehow interconnected and related in a patterning system of communication, almost like at an intercept? Because I'm like, just really confused. Now here's the piece on today on News 4, which is this particular thing about Harvard and Yale.
For that report from Richard Engel. Meanwhile, at 5:18 now, both Yale and Harvard law schools, they are bowing out of the U.S. News and World Report annual ranking of law schools. The schools say the rankings are in conflict.
I should also say, I put up yesterday this piece about Alice in Wonderland and the mad watch of when I was 31 years old and I was taken on my birthday for my birthday, whatever, into Manhattan by Tifa in 1975. And I ran into someone. I asked for a cup of tea, and then it was kind of like this, whatever. And then one gave me his jacket just because I was freezing. And there was two of them that I spoke with. After that, I was put in the back of a taxi, and I was dragged all throughout Manhattan, and shown, like, I just wanted to go home. I really did not want to be there. Like, I would have rather spent it with the strangers I just met than with the person I had arrived with. And instead, I got dragged all over Manhattan in the back of a taxi to all of these hotels and past party promotion clubs and whatnot, and having to listen to all these stupid stories about Tiafrio and how important he was in some point of his life. And I'm like, I really don't like you. I really don't like spending time with you. I really don't want to be spending my birthday like this. Why won't you listen to me and let me go home? So that happened. And I know there's witnesses of it. Same person, by the way, when showed up to take me to meet the person who said he knew I had a very special birthday. Different meeting. That was through a different Johnny, and that has a letter at the end of it. But Ingalls was present the night that the man who lent me his jacket, because I was freezing, and that I asked for a cup of tea from, Ingalls was there with Tiafria. They were the two that put me in the taxis and took me all over Manhattan. And then at some point, we went back, or they took me back to my residence.
Conflict with their commitments to student diversity and affordability. Yale was the first to announce that decision. The school has been ranked #1 every year since the media company began ranking law schools back in 1990. Hours later, Harvard, which is ranked #4, informed its law students it would be doing the same thing.
I should also mention, I've had an oil painting done of myself. My family made sure I had an oil painting, private collection. That right there speaks volumes of where I come from and what the expectation was amongst inner circle of something else. I do not understand how, when there's an artwork dealer and there's a private artwork collector that has the oil canvas, why is it that I am dragged through this life in this manner with these people who are just wasting my time until I get sick and die? Now, there's this Starlet, Starlet. It's season 10, episode 20, I believe, of Dragnet that was on this morning around the same time. And they talk about this. It takes place in LA. Theoretically, the names have been changed, the whatever has been changed. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, in a hybrid paradox, in a parallel universe, if the trash talk and the changing of some of the facts for some of the campaigns that they're allowed to do on the street, but for other lobby work elsewhere, if they call it in some communities smut, SMUTT, or porn, PORN, and then they confuse one another or try to dirty one's reputation by confusing, I was like, it adds to the chaos, which is just unacceptable. So I'm watching this, and I'm looking at the respectful men that are the respectful investigators, according to Dragnet, which is like 1950s or 1960s, when TV, I think, was more respectable than it is now, when it was like an emulation of how one should be as model citizens rather than what they've become. It had purpose for those that did not have continuing education.
We ran Eva Graham through R&I and found that she had been arrested 3 times in the past 5 years, twice for 647B, prostitution, and once on a 311-2 of the obscenity section. The arresting officers were Sergeant Les Sable and Officer Don Scheidel of Administrative Vice. We went up to the pornographic unit to talk to them.
Graham, Eva Graham. We know a Graham, don't we?
Yes, we do. Hold on a minute.
I can tell you this much, Joe. Our Graham told you.
Neither's ours, but she had one living with her for a while.
Runaway?
Yeah, 16 years old.
Came here to get in the movies.
She sticks with Graham, she'll make it.
Here, now, we got Graham on film, Joe. If you like, we can run it for you, or you can look at stills.
No, we've seen her stills.
I don't think you've seen these. That her?
Yeah, that's her.
You got a picture of you two?
Not that kind.
Now, in this particular, I mean, she's fully clothed. Because I've heard how the street portrays this new industry. It's run past my. It's been brought to my attention and learned from some of these street people that I've been around. They use it. I'm like, it's almost like they have like some inside joke and they know that I don't know. So then I have to ask questions. And it's like, am I going to get in trouble if I ask these questions? Like, I mean, is this something I really need to know or want to know? I mean, it's horrific, but this is not, and it says Queen of Apple. It says on the sash.
Don't know her. The way the producers keep turning this junk out, we're never right up to date, of course, but so far she hasn't turned up in our stuff. Let us keep...
And then they mentioned something about Bundy, which they've had now up the last couple of days. Ted Bundy, who ate some people, and I'm just like, ugh, I'm like, what are they doing? It's like Monster Mash. It's Monster Mash is what it feels like.
Let's keep one of these pictures. Hope it doesn't do you any good. Knowing Graham, she didn't adopt a kid out of a good heart.
If Graham steers her into this racket, who will she be working for?
You want names? We can give you 24. It's just the shooters, photographers. They make them quick, sell to a distributor. There's at least 100 of those. How do they get the stuff processed? Illicit labs, they set them up in the garage. Nothing has to be permanent. Shoot the film, all you need is a camera, lights, and somebody's living room.
And people like Eva Graham.
There's no shortage of talent, Joe. Les, how do they get young girls to do this? The money good? What did Graham tell us she got paid?
$75. Graham's the star leading lady. 75's top dollar.
And money isn't the reason. No, but you've got to be a psychiatrist to understand what is. Yeah. What are the...
$75.
The odds the Bundy girl will get involved. Well, what's her background, Joe? Generally, these gals have a bad environment, broken homes usually.
But not always. Remember the Hanford girl, Les? She was from a nice small-town family. Not much love in the home. Girl like that falls in with the wrong people, she's apt to go the whole route. Sound like you're a girl? On the button.
Now, is that one of those political buttons that they used to use? Because nowadays they just use stickers in New York. We just went. There's no more buttons.
Monday, May 14th. In our search for Patty Lee Bundy, we checked the usual hangouts of aspiring and unemployed actresses without success. If she had been seen in any of the discotheques, psychedelic places, or crash pads frequented by juveniles, nobody would admit it. Tuesday, May 15th, all we could do was assure Mrs. Wade we would continue our search. She decided to remain in Los Angeles another 2 or 3 days. Wednesday, May 16th, we got a call from Don Scheidel in Advice asking us to come over. He thought they had something for us on the Bundy girl. 2 p.m.
Joe?
Don said you might have turned something for us.
We'll know in a minute. He's down in the lab. You already got quite a collection here. You name it, we've got it. Books, magazines, Tijuana Bibles, films, stills, devices. Photography's a big business. We get an average of 100 complaints a week on mail order alone. You any idea what this stuff grosses annually on a national basis?
No, how much?
$2 billion a year. And see all those paperback books? Yeah. Cost 10 cents to produce one. The publisher's profit for one book is about 60 cents. We got a local distributor here sells over 4 million books a year.
Yeah, and again, at the menthol and at the ethanol, it used to be like $1. First it was like 50 cents, then it went to $1. Now it's up to like 4 something. What nations are they funding? Who is profiting from all of this while, I mean, like, mass populations are getting poisoned? Now here.
It's a possibility. Whoever it was, she sounded pretty upset with Cornelius. Yeah. That's it, Joe.
Police officers, open up. Never mind the fire escape, it's covered.
That's you, Scheidel?
Open up or it's coming down.
Hold it. No call to damage the property. What's the beef, gentlemen?
Little party up at your house in the hills.
News to me.
Your friend's copped out. You're under arrest.
Again.
Conspiracy to prepare and distribute obscene matter. You have the right to remain silent, and any statements you make may be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney.
He wouldn't come out this late, but I'll manage.
You understand your rights?
As many times you said it to me, I should, don't you think? You got a new partner? Where's Abel?
Right here.
Oh, I feel more at home.
I like doing business with the same old firm. This is Sergeant Friday. He wants to ask you some questions. We'll check the back room.
Well, I don't know if I want to talk to you two or not. We'll make it easy. One question, one answer.
I'll listen.
Where's Patty Lee Bundy?
You gotta ask an easier one.
Maybe she calls herself Pat.
No help. I don't know her either way.
She was living with Eva Graham for a while. Does that help?
Still never heard of her.
You're lying. You used her in one of your productions.
How do you know it's mine? I don't take screen credit.
You think that's pretty funny? Well, let me tell you something, mister. That girl's a juvenile. She's only 16 years old.
I got enough trouble now. I don't think I'll do any more talking.
Tell us where she lives.
How about offering me a deal?
We're offering you a chance to do something clean for a change.
You mean you don't like my movies? The public does. Let me tell you something, brother. I didn't invent smut. It's always been around. Laws won't change human nature. People want their kicks, and if they gotta buy it in a dirty little back room or smuggle it home in a plain wrapper, that only makes it more exciting.
Is that right?
You know it. We wouldn't be in business if there wasn't a demand for this stuff. If I don't make it, somebody else will. Public wants vice, and there's no way you can stop them from getting it.
When you make it for kids with kids, we're going to give it a big try.
Did Patty Lee phone your house tonight?
As able. I wasn't there.
Now, I want one straight answer, mister. Where is that girl and what's her address?
Ask Graham. She knows where the kid is. She's always known. Now leave me alone.
I'll get a lesson down.
No, I'll get him. I need some clean air.
And it goes from that. They wind up finding her on a bed, and there was a pill bottle next to her. They said something about red, R-E-D. And then a note pinned to her that just said, "To whom it concerns." And that was it.
Of a major city controversy is New York's main jail complex, Rikers Island. This year in New York City, 18 people have died while in jail or correction department custody. The latest one in Rikers. And 16 died last year. And now, a damaging report from the Board of Correction blames the staff in the deaths of 9 incarcerated people, saying they missed medical visits, which played an indirect factor. In October, loved ones of inmates who died rallied, calling on the mayor to close Rikers Island and for the city to end solitary confinement.
They arrested at the hospital when he needed the medicine. Why they don't provide the medicine?
Exactly. In an exclusive interview on New York One this week, the Department of Correction Commissioner said they just need more time to fix the problems.
I believe that the team that we built up here at the department is a team that the department has never had and fully focused on this issue. And I think with time, we'll be turning this department around.
But time is what a judge gave the city back in June when the case got postponed to give the city a chance to address the crisis. And a month prior to that, Mayor Eric Adams defended the city's handling of Rikers Island right after a Bronx Supreme Court judge found the Department of Correction in contempt for denying inmates access to medical care.
I'm not surrendering this city to anyone to believe we can't do our job.
And today's hearing is scheduled to take place at 2:30 this afternoon, but a large group of people, we are told, will be rallying here in front of the courthouse before that. We're live this morning from Lower Manhattan. John Diaz, CBS 2 News.
John, thank you. 6:03, more than a week after election.
So that was from this morning. And again, it's a twofold, because there's the version that they show, but just like with the menthol cigarettes, I don't know if there's something else that might be going on. I woke up like 2 or 3 days ago with a black and blue about that big on the back of one of my calves. No idea where it came from. I didn't bang into anything. I didn't, and then all of a sudden I wound up getting sick again. There's a lot of strangeness that goes on in the city. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.